Now I would like to, for the most awaited moment of today, welcome somebody who I think, in my humble opinion, and I say this, and I said this for his predecessor as well, we've had the good fortune of hosting, sir, in 14 years, about 34,000 luminaries who've come to IMA. I've been fortunate enough in order to hear some of them in person. But whenever I meet somebody in uniform, and whenever I meet somebody who's wearing any of the tri-services uniform, at that juncture, automatically, there is a salute that comes saying, this is a person who has selflessly served the nation. Whilst many may talk about India, many may talk about Bharat, there are very few people who can selflessly serve on the border and then after that say that I am now talking about India, that is Bharat. If we have to celebrate the National Youth Day, and that's the reason why we're doing it on the 16th, it gives me great pleasure and privilege to be able to welcome for the main address, none other than General Anil Chauhan.
The President of India's International Movement to United Nations, Rishabh Shah, mentors to this particular organization, Shri Ajay Piramal and Shan, 800 odd youth who fill up the stadium today to hear me out, and 20,000 odd who Rishabh just said have joined us online. A very good evening to all of you. Rishabh made this offer to me actually a year and a half back to come and speak to you. I was almost delighted, but my engagements did not allow me to accept it immediately. But I was here in Mumbai yesterday for the commissioning of the 3 ships and then got back to Pune. I was here back in Mumbai, so I thought that I'll speak to you people. And it's always such a pleasure to speak to the young people of the country. You are the youth of the country, you are the future of our nation, and that's what we recognize as. So, you are the people who will realize the dreams of the nation to be a Viksit Bharat by 2047. It's always great to speak to young people. As I said, it's always great to be back in Mumbai. Mumbai and I have a special connection. 45 years back, when I got commissioned from the Indian Military Academy, my first place of posting was Mumbai. I was a second lieutenant, a pipsqueak. And that time, the city was Bombay, not Mumbai. That rank does not exist today, the rank of second lieutenant. And of course, Bombay has transformed itself into Mumbai, but it's great to be back over here. I picked up my first promotion over here, the rank of second lieutenant. I picked up my second star over here. And I also gained my first operational experience in Mumbai. I don't know, very many of you, none of you would remember in 1983 there was a huge strike in Mumbai, and Mumbai was brought to a grinding halt. The mill workers strike in which some other people had joined. So my battalion was here and we were able to restore law and order immediately. So that's some time back. And talking about something old things, I thought that I'll speak to you about Veterans Day first. Let me start with that, something to do with old people. Ajay Piramal just spoke about Army Day. That was on the 14th. I don't know, very many of you may not know that on 14th, a day before that, was Veterans Day. 2 days after the National Youth Day. So we have the National Youth Day on the 12th, we have the Veterans Day on the 14th, and then we have the Army Day. So Veterans Day is the day when we recognize the services of soldiers, old soldiers who have given everything for the nation, and those who are not amongst us, we can recognize their sacrifice, their valor. So that's an important day, and I think it's important for the armed forces, the serving people also. It's important because of 2 particular reasons. The quality of soldiers who join the armed forces in the next generation is directly dependent upon how we treat our veterans. If we treat our veterans well, there will be enough motivation amongst the youth to join as soldiers and officers in the armed forces. That is one thing. The second thing which I always thought was it's always a payback time. The kind of respect, the kind of love the kind of honor which you people give me, the citizens of the country give me. Like you all, the standing ovation which you all gave, is not for Anil Chauhan. It's for that organization known as the Indian Army. And that and this respect is across everywhere. It's amongst the politicians, it's amongst the media, it's amongst ordinary people, all walks of life. They have a huge respect for the armed forces. A mention was also made about that by Piramal. So why does this happen? It's a collective kind of an inheritance that I have inherited, of people, of my friends who are here from the Army, Navy and the Air Force. We all have inherited. ये हमारी एक तरह की धरोहर है. So this is built up over a period of time, say 47, 48 war, the 65 war, the armed forces coming out and, like I said, in Mumbai, breaking up that mill worker strike, or helping out in natural calamities. So this is collectively got built up, and now it's my duty to contribute to that particular dharohar or inheritance which I said. So Veterans Day is important. Veterans Day is celebrated in other countries in big fanfare, not so much in our country. But there is one city where it's celebrated very well, and that's Mumbai. On 12th, they hold a Veterans Parade on the Marine Drive, and all the ex-soldiers actually walk or run on that, and the city comes out and cheers them. The evolution of a particular city, the compassion of a particular city, the compassion of that particular society is reflected in how you treat your soldiers actually, especially your ex-soldiers. And that is evident in Mumbai, and that's what is great about Mumbai. I don't know if you people know that why Veterans Day is celebrated. It's the day when our first Field Marshal, General K.M. Karyappa, he was later made a Field Marshal. He retired and he became a veteran. And the Army Day is exactly celebrated because that's the day when the first Indian Field Marshal took over the reins of the armed forces or the Indian Army. So before that, we had two British gentlemen who had led the army, that is Francis Butcher and Robert Lockhart. And after this particular month, actually January, if I may say, is a month of national festivals. So national festivals, 12th I said, was the National Youth Day, we had the Veterans Day, we have the Army Day, and then we have the Republic Day, where the armed forces will lead the parade, the Republic, and then we have functions related to NCC and a Martyrs Day. We also have, this particular month is also significant in the point of view of that it's the start of the new year. So it's also Makar Sankranti, Lori, Pongal, in every part of the world. So that I think is important. That signifies change. That signifies change, that's important. And that is what partly I'll be speaking to you. And I'll be speaking to you about the future actually. I'm not an astrologer, neither am I'm a futurologist, but my job is to think about the future, think about how warfare is evolving, what changes we need to bring about in this war fighting techniques, warfare, etc. for the armed forces, so that when the time comes, we do not fail the nation. And this is very, because there is no second runners-up in war. There is only one champ, there is only one victor, and the second side is the vanquished side. So that's important for us. And it's also important because this is the only profession actually in which we are not practicing on a daily basis. If there is someone who's a lawyer, he's practicing every day in the bar or the courts. There's a surgeon who's practicing surgery every day. There's an architect, he's designing buildings every day. Soldiers are not fighting every day. So there are long times of peace in between, but they only get one chance. When it comes, you can't fail. So rest of the time, they're actually preparing. And that's what as the Chief of Defense Staff or the senior hierarchy of the armed forces does, is to think as to how warfare is evolving and how to prepare. Forget about how the armed forces are preparing. Let me talk about our nation. I think the future actually belongs to us. It belongs to India. And I say this because I believe that cognitive abilities in future will be far more important than physical abilities. We should be creative, and critical thinking is far more important in future. These are two important things. And I'm saying this while the future belongs to us because this particular part, that creative thinking, cognitive intelligence, that resides in the Indian far more than any other culture or any other society. It's been part of our genes, it's part of our DNA, and this is part of us for a very, very long time. Let me just speak about how it is there in the past, creativity of the Indians in the past. Much has been written about it. I'll just give you 2 or 3 small examples about it. Mathematics. We invented this numeral system actually. Otherwise, there's a Roman numeral system. That's not conducive for calculations, is it? It doesn't. It's the numeral system which we discovered that's conducive for actually calculations. We also discovered the decimal system. We also discovered the zero for the word, shunya. Now, how important it is, can you imagine that someone can discover something which is nothing in itself, shunya. So that is where we were at some point of time. We were also good in astronomy. When the world thought that, the earth is flat and the sun goes around the earth, we had this thing as Surya Siddhanta as one. And we also talked about earth as Bhumandala. That is, Bhu was earth and Mandala is something which is spherical. We knew about most of the stars and constellations much before the Western world came to know about it. Look at literature. The oldest book of mankind is Rig Veda, that originated in India. And of course, we have Mahabharata and Ramayana. Mahabharata in its the very depth of the characters it has, the very length and how does it connect all those characters is mind-boggling actually. In today's world also you cannot actually assimilate the whole thing in one go. How can in primitive times someone could think of such things? And its whole length is actually about 10 times when we combine this thing of Iliad and Odyssey, which is as far as Western literature is concerned. Similarly, whether it is medicines, whether it is health, whether it is yoga or Ayurveda, we were far ahead of anyone else. That's about creativity of Indians in the past. Let's talk about creativity of the current times actually. So I think this critical thinking about Indians is evident in the way number of chess players have actually won recently. Kudos to them. That is Gukesh, which is Ramesh Rambabu, Arjun Eragon. All this. In fact, I'm told that among the first under the age of 20, the grandmasters, India has the largest number of them, 20 of them. So this requires cognitive abilities. This requires something to think. You are aware of the Spell Bee competition, which is held in America every year. Out of the past 34 champions, 28 have been Indians actually, people of Indian origin. The number of software engineers we produce, the number of CEOs of these global companies, they're all Indians. How come all of them are Indians, because it's that cognitive skills, it's part of our DNA, it's part of our genes actually. Somehow we lost it out because of this foreign invasions and kind of a colonial rule. But now that we have spent 77, 78 years after independence, it's time that we are going to revive it. And we are going to revive it for this, reviving those old genes, it's part of us. And it is there in all castes and communities which have resided in India, irrespective of religion or caste. That I think is important. And but someone would ask me that, okay, so be it, we may be great in chess, we may be great in sporting competition, we may be great in software engineering, all this requires yes, thinking. But what about, say, chemical engineering, aero engineering, and all that? Or, say, connected kind of sciences? Well, the thing is that you also have to have, along with that, infrastructure. Unfortunately, we are yet to build up that kind of infrastructure. While a mind is great, that infrastructure to use is not there. But in a Spell Bee competition, you require nothing. You require no infrastructure. In playing chess, you just require a board and those pieces of chess. So this we can afford, and we can afford, so we have proved that we are good in this. As long, the moment we have this infrastructure in the country to produce aero engines or hypersonic missiles or anything else, it will be there because it's part of our genes. We've been the original thinkers of this particular world, and we are going to occupy this place in times to come. And that's what I think is possible, and that's what you people will realize for the country by 2047. why is Indian mind so creative? I've been thinking about this, that why is Indian mind creative actually? Intelligence is two things. Intelligence, if you say, is memory and it is logic. The two things comprise of intelligence. If you have got memory, you've got a vast memory, and you've got logic with you, then you are intelligent. Indians by nature had oral traditions. That means when I said about the oldest book as Rig Veda, for 3000 years that same Rig Veda continued and every successive generation knew what Rig Veda was, or what Mahabharata, which I said is the biggest epic ever produced by anyone. They knew it verse by verse for generations together. So this is part of our oral tradition. This is not there in any other civilization, this oral traditions. So this has naturally built us the memory kind of system of our brains. We learn tables, the world doesn't run tables, that's important. Second thing I said was logic, that's what defines intelligence. Again, the way we taught ourselves, the great universities of Nalanda and Takshila or Vikramshila, they were normally as a form of a debate. So this was again, Upanishads are what today? Upanishads are a form of a debate actually, of the Vedas. So this was the system of our teachings actually, to discuss a thing in form of a debate. So it's logic which comes out, and that because logic is there and you had a memory, so obviously you are intelligent. So that's why I say that the future actually will belong to us, although we may have modified the system of debate in the news channels, which nowadays resembles a kind of a fight rather than a news. But that's again an Indian invention. Second thing which I said was why India's time has come is because for anything to be achieved, you require the necessary momentum. And momentum is what? It's mass into velocity. And what did Rishabh tell you now? That there are 900 million of us, young people like you. We produce the largest number of STEM graduates in this world. We have produced the largest number of engineers. The momentum is with us. The time is with us. And then you have this little thing of velocity. Velocity, students of science would know that it's a vector quantity and it talks about direction and speed. Sahi disha or sahi gati. That gati is the one which is going to be provided by you people, and disha is one. People like Ajay Piramal and with all the people who are going to talks and lectures are the one which providing that kind of a gati. So, as I said, where do Indian Armed Forces come in between in this? We are also aware that we should be up ahead and as equal or as good as the most advanced militaries in times to come. And that's the time for us to think and reflect as to where we are. And I can only assure you people that we are at it, we are thinking about it, we are creating structures, we are creating organizations, we are acquiring technologies, creating technologies that will put us up ahead on this map. So be rest assured that the future of the country remains in safe hands in spite of a rapid amount of changes which are taking place in the geopolitical world, in the world of technology, etc. And before I end my talk today, I would like to leave a small little message for all of you. The first is that life is like a journey actually. So you don't have to merely complete it, you have to actually enjoy it. I think that's one thing important. And while you're continuing with the journey, must try and do something more than for yourself, actually, for the society at large. Second thing is, success is not preordained. You have to work towards it. Success, they say, is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. So you got to work towards it. And it's long journey. The journey of this life is long. Always remember that there will be ups, there will be downs. So don't think a bend in the road can never be an end of the road. So it may be just a bend. So you got to treat this ups and downs as imposters and success of what Rudyard Kipling had said in his famous poem, If. And to end, I would like to recite a small poem by Mohanlal Dwivedi. This is about कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं. It goes like this. लहरों से डर करके कभी नौका पार नहीं होती. कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है. मन का साहस मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस को भरता है, गिरकर चढ़ना चढ़कर गिरना ना करता है। आखिर उसकी कोशिश कभी बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। So the only message from my side to the young people today is never, never, ever give up. Thank you and Jai Hind.
So you spoke about Indianness, you spoke about how the debating culture is a part of our culture. In IM1 and even otherwise, the debating culture is something which we believe which is very different from the Oxford style of debate where it is ज़्यादा तू तू मैं मैं. In our culture, it is more about Purva Paksha style of debating, which is you understand the opponent's perspective and then you debate. And this is the kind of Indianness that we're trying to get young people to understand. But sir, you spoke about Indianness, and Indianness is very important for Bombay and for Delhi. But it's also equally important for the ones who are watching this live and in different parts of the country. One of our largest conferences takes place in Srinagar, and 4,000 to 5,000 children participate in that. We've been doing it for 8 years, before abrogation of Article 370 and after. So you've commanded out there. You have been in charge of a battalion in Baramulla, and sir, there has been a lot of change in terms of the perception of what India stands for. But Indianness is yet something that is yet seeping in today as we speak in these far-flung areas, which is in the northeast and in Jammu and Kashmir. So what is your message to people who are sitting out here? What can they do to spread the message of India? Because today, unlike when I was in school and somebody asked me saying, how proud are you of being Indian? 5 out of 10 would perhaps look the other way and be discussing the next holiday that they are planning. Today, there is a new emergent India where when you say, how's the Josh? At that juncture, you can see how high it is, sir. But sir, what can civil society and young people here do to spread Indianness in far-flung areas like Srinagar and in the northeast?
So the actually answer, so to some extent answer lies in one of your statements actually. What could we do? First you said is travel. You travel to those places. You travel to Kashmir, you travel to Northeast, they are part of your country. You must understand, and this will help not only in promoting tourism, it will help the local economy of that particular place, it will help you connect with those kind of people. I think that's important for the rest of the country, that we connect the people in the Northeast. They're as much Indians as I've served in both those places. And I've interacted with every kind of youth, middle-aged people, old-age people over there. Old-age people have seen peaceful times, the middle-aged people have seen struggle. And they're young people who aspire, like you young people, they also aspire to a good life, they want to be very successful. And I had no doubt in my mind that all of them had Indianness in their particular mind. I also made a point that, this is part of Indian DNA. To be naturally creative, naturally intelligent. You find all this creativity, it's not that it's over here. If you look at, I don't know if you remember, the topper of a couple of IS exams have been actually people from Srinagar. The largest number of IPS officers today in Manipur are probably, tribals. So those people are there as intelligent as you. You've not been able to recognize that. So that's the point I should make, that must reach out to people, must broaden your horizons, learn something.
They're definitely, most of them are definitely smarter than me, and some of them have made their way into the leadership team at IM1 per se. You spoke about somebody topping from civil services, Amaratir Khan, and others also in that batch who topped per se. So you gave another example of Bukesh. I used to play chess when I was younger and smarter. But sir, when you spoke about chess, sir, I felt very happy because today chess has become mainstream. It has become a conversation that everybody is having and everybody is talking about things such as chess. Sir, what has also become mainstream is viewing the armed forces, and like I said, that whenever somebody sees anybody in the armed forces, automatically they stand up and salute. But you spoke about something very interesting, sir. You spoke about the Veterans Day, and you spoke about it being on the 14th, then the 15th, everything that happened, and today being the 16th, sir. So my question is slightly outside this, but I wanted to ask you because I was hearing that, is that as civil society, what can we do in order to spread the message of the armed forces further? And sir, I say this in the capacity where NCC is one thing that everybody says that you should be a part of. But with your predecessor as well, when I got a good chance to interact with him and host him, at that juncture, so we used to ask him this, and he was very passionate about this, saying, spread the message of the armed forces far and wide for no other reason, but the discipline that you see in the armed forces is second to none. How do we spread qualities of the armed forces to civilians when in normal day-to-day school and college, we find it difficult in order to make the 8 o'clock deadline that we have at school, and we sometimes that 8 o'clock becomes 8:02 and we get a bad remark in our diaries. So how do we spread this kind of idea of the armed forces when it comes to the qualities that one can pick up from the armed forces in civil society?
Look, two things. You started speaking about Mukesh and how well he's done, and you yourself are a chess player actually. I just spoke about in that talk that in under 20 there are 20 odd players, grandmasters of Indian origin. And this is one game in which you don't require infrastructure, you just require creativity and thinking. I am very sure in days to come, you will find these numbers increasing exponentially. For the first 70 years, we did not play chess. We did not, so there was only Anand. But now, large number of people are playing. If large number of people start playing chess in India, they'll beat everyone. Because that's part of, I said, part of the Indian DNA, because we are creative people, we can think, our cognitive abilities are very strong. This particular cognitive abilities and think of strength actually has to permeate in all other dimensions also. I briefly made a mention. And this has to come about with respect to national security. It's not that much important to know about your armed forces, but it's more important to understand national security. And that's the responsibility of every citizen of this country. And the national security aspect is slightly broader at a wider canvas than what the armed forces do. There is a healthy respect for the armed forces amongst people. When I say healthy respect, I just spoke about Mumbai, but I've traveled to various parts of the country, and there's a healthy respect in every part of the country, and that is there. This is the living memory for whatever the armed forces have done or continue doing. But the larger aspect is that we must understand national security is full ambit. That's very important. That's how armed forces will be able to be employed for the benefit of the country during war as well as peace.
So you spoke about national security, and national security is very important for young people to also understand, for people generally to understand. So when it comes to national security, Google, sir, now has been replaced by ChatGPT, and the role of AI is in every field is undeniable. So you have stated, and I quote, quantum technology will impact future wars with far-reaching outcomes for the armed forces. So what is the possibility of the next wars being fought in ways that are not traditional warfare? Mission Impossible is trending on Netflix. But it is all about artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence basically being responsible for the new warfare that we will see will also be because of AI. So people like me won't necessarily fit in the armed forces in the traditional sense. But is there a way that young people can volunteer to become digital soldiers? What are the armed forces doing when it comes to AI? And is there a role for young people to contribute in this regard?
So, Rishabh, this is a subject by itself. Look, I've been saying that we are at the cusp of a major transformation in warfare, and we fought wars till now in a particular manner. In future, I don't think wars will be fought in that kind of a manner. So, because of multiple technologies, it's not only artificial intelligence, machine learning, or say quantum technologies, or say robotics, or say stealth technologies. These all are going to affect how we're going to fight. But that's a subject, let's leave it to professionals. Warfare itself is also changing. The combatants are changing today. So earlier there would be uniformed community paid by the state. The national armed forces of a state were the pride of a nation. But today you have people who are non-state, who are also, you look at the war in Ukraine, etc. So you have people who are slightly different. They're nationalists, super-nationalists. So people who join this particular fight for different kind of reasons. Tomorrow you have machines. The scare is that someday, till now, the warfare has always been between two humans actually. We are now entering an age where war could be between humans and machines, or tomorrow between machines, and some of them will be autonomous. And what the Israelis have shown you recently, that it's gone beyond machines. It's technology. Technology which is made for something else has been used to target others. So, again, over here, imagination is the limit. So, if your imagination is wide, you can actually, warfare is non-ending kind of a process. So, in which you have to think slightly differently. And in which young people actually can provide us some kind of an idea of how to think about it.
Alright, thank you for mentioning that, and thank you for mentioning that there is a place for young people in trying to help and contribute when it comes to the armed forces as well. But sir, my second last question to you, and I wanted to allow them to ask a couple of questions once I finish, if it's okay. My second last question is in regards to this. Yesterday, the Defence Minister at the commissioning of the ships, he spoke about a Viksit Bharat of 2047, that there would be a year of reform that would take place in the armed forces. So, it is, and I quote you again, where you mentioned that one must shed obsolete practices and adopt new ones. So there are many things in the armed forces that some people feel that should be changed. In your opinion, the promotion that is done solely on the basis of seniority, many feel that that should be done away with as well. Is this the right method for appointment for the armed forces, sir? What would be your views?
You see, this is, okay, this has been announced as the year of reforms, and not that reforms were going on for the past 3-4 years. We want to actually speed up the process by actually formally announcing it as the year of reforms. And the armed forces, all three wings, are committed to this particular idea that we need to reform, and the purposes of this reform are told that the way warfare is changing, unless we don't reform, then we won't be able to win. As I said, in war there is no win, runners-up, there's only one chap who wins. That's, I think, important. The second question which you said about seniority versus merit in promotions in the armed forces. In the armed forces, it's always been merit. On all ranks, it's been merit actually. That's why this pyramid which we have is so steep. It's unlike any other services in which number of people get promoted to a particular rank. We start shedding out people at the rank of lieutenant colonels. I mean, I faced my first promotion board as a lieutenant colonel, and to reach this rank, I faced about 5 or 6 promotion boards for lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier, major, lieutenant. It's only at the very end that this particular principle of seniority counts, at the very end, and that's because you have gone through this process of selection 5 or 6 times. So, armed forces is always based on merit. It's only at the top rank of, say, army chief and all.
Like you framed the perception correctly now, and you gave the correct perception of how it should be viewed and deemed. So, my last question is a small rapid fire. It is young people, so I thought that we should end with a rapid fire, at least from my part. What is the first word that comes to your mind when I say the following words? Tibetan art.
It's beautiful.
When I say favorite golf player?
Myself.
One book you would recommend every young person reads?
There are actually many books, and you must not stop reading. That's one thing I thought was important.
When I say family, what's the thought that comes to you?
Oh, that's the most dearest to you, especially my daughter.
Ajit Doval. When I say Ajit Doval, sir, what is the thought that comes to you?
A thinking man,
When I say Prime Minister Modi,
a man who takes decisions.
Kargil War,
Victory,
youth,
the future of the country.
Bharat,
Viksit Bharat.
and the last one is when I say India's international movement to unite nations or I am one, what comes to your mind?
It's a great movement. My best wishes for it.